Imagine a country torn apart by war, a war so brutal, so intense that the very soul of the nation hangs in the balance. This is America in the 1860s, a land fractured by conflict, haunted by the specter of slavery, and teetering on the brink of destruction. And yet, in the eye of this storm stood one man, an unlikely hero whose resolve would shape the future of a divided nation. This is the story of Abraham Lincoln, the president who saved America. The United States of America, once a beacon of hope, now a powder keg ready to explode. The North and the South, two opposing worlds torn apart by a single, unrelenting issue, slavery. As tensions soared to new heights, the Southern states made a fateful decision one by one. They seceded from the Union, setting the stage for a bloody showdown that would decide the nation's fate. This was no longer just a political dispute, it was a fight for survival. As the Union crumbled, Abraham Lincoln, a man few expected to rise to greatness, was thrust into the most perilous position in American history. The question loomed, could he hold the country together, or would it tear itself apart? Born in the backwoods of Kentucky, Abraham Lincoln was a man of humble beginnings. No one could have predicted that this tall, awkward figure would become the leader of a nation in crisis. But behind those weary eyes and that weathered face lay a mind sharp as steel and a heart driven by a fierce belief in justice. A house divided against itself cannot stand. With these words, Lincoln warned the nation of the storm that was about to break. Though he lost his Senate bid, his message rang out like a clarion call, echoing in the hearts of those who yearned for a united country. And so, in 1860, Lincoln took on the mantle of leadership, knowing full well that the path ahead would be fraught with danger. But even he could not have foreseen the horrors that awaited. The first shots of the Civil War rang out at Fort Sumter in April 1861, and with them came a tide of bloodshed that would engulf the nation. Lincoln, now president, faced the gravest challenge any leader could imagine: a fight to preserve the Union against all odds. With each passing day, the war grew more brutal and the stakes grew higher. Lincoln, a man known for his compassion, had to harden himself, making decisions that would send thousands to their deaths. But he knew that failure was not an option. The very survival of the United States depended on his resolve. As the war dragged on, Lincoln realized that to win, he needed to strike at the Confederacy's heart, the institution of slavery. On January 1, 1863, he signed the Emancipation Proclamation, a bold and unprecedented move that declared all slaves in Confederate-held territory free. This was no mere act of policy, it was a declaration of war against an entire way of life. It transformed the fight for the Union into a battle for human freedom, igniting hope among millions of enslaved people and adding a new, righteous fury to the Union's cause. The stakes were now higher than ever, but the path to victory was far from clear. Lincoln faced not only the Confederate Army, but also political enemies at home who doubted his every move. In the war room, strategy was everything. Lincoln had to outthink his opponents, keep the border states loyal, and maintain the fragile support of the Northern public while the death toll mounted. The weight of the war bore heavily on Lincoln. He was a man haunted by the loss of countless lives, yet he knew he had to push forward. Every decision he made was a step deeper into the darkness, but it was a darkness he would not let consume the nation. Finally, after long years of bloodshed, the Civil War drew to a close. The Union was saved, but Lincoln knew that true peace required more than just military victory, it required reconciliation. With malice toward none, with charity for all. Lincoln's vision for the future was one of healing, not revenge. He sought to bring the nation together, to bind up its wounds, and to create a lasting peace that would honor the sacrifice of those who had fought and died. But just as the dream of a united America was within reach, tragedy struck. On April 14, 1865, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, a man driven by hatred and vengeance. In a single, horrifying moment, the nation lost its greatest leader. The loss was immeasurable, but even in death, Lincoln's legacy endured. His courage, his vision, and his unwavering dedication to the ideals of freedom and unity would continue to guide the nation for generations to come. Abraham Lincoln did more than save America, he redefined what it meant to be American. Through his leadership in the Civil War, he not only preserved the Union, but also brought the nation closer to its founding principles of liberty and equality. The 13th Amendment, passed in the wake of his death, finally abolished slavery, making his dream a reality. Today, we remember Abraham Lincoln not just as a president, but as a symbol of the enduring fight for justice and unity. His legacy lives on, reminding us that even in the darkest of times, a single voice, firm and resolute, can change the course of history. Thank you for watching this incredible journey.